And speaking with muscle, have you heard of this new supplement called Turkesterone? And if so, what do you think of it?
Yeah, it's interesting. So Turkesterone, it's like I started looking into it over. You can hear my baby crying. You can tell I'm at home. Sorry, but it's what is called a it's a different. It's not a typical like steroid hormone kind of thing. It's one of these things. As I have heard about it, I haven't played with it or anything like that. I know it was around 10, 15 years ago. I remember it kind of being talked about, and then it kind of went away, and now it came back again, and everybody's kind of talking about it as sort of the latest and greatest. So I don't have a personal experience with it, but I did a little bit of research on it. What's your take on it?
Well, what's weird is I've heard people saying that they remembered it from like 15 and 20 years ago. And I mean, I was obviously heavy into bodybuilding and I can't remember it. But of course, I've done research in it. And I saw it's not something that's brand new. It's been around for a long time. They've done studies in this and it's been shown to work in some people. There's not enough studies, but for me, I'm lucky because I'm actually selling it. And so I have a lot of people buying it and then they give me their feedback. So I get to see the testimonials from people because after all, if I got a bunch of feedback saying, well, I bought this and it did nothing, it would look bad for me. So I wouldn't want to sell something where everyone is saying, this stuff doesn't work. It's garbage. And so I actually tried it myself. I put 4 pounds on in a month. And I mean, I was on the consistent 140 milligram a week testosterone dose, never changed that, never changed anything else. 4 pounds bigger, not increasing calories, not eating more, not having more body fat. I got faster on the bike. My watts went up. I was stronger in the gym. I felt better, felt bigger, could notice in the mirror. I was like, I look bigger, like in a month. So for me, I was sold. I texted my brother and he's like, are you sure it works that much? I'm like, well, Steve, I'm just telling you what's happening. And then he started looking, he's always reading comments from people. He's like, man, so many people are saying it works. And so after all that evidence, I'm like, I think it works. I think it really works. And of course, everything's on a spectrum. Some people are going to get better results than others. But for me, if you're natural and you're looking for something that probably doesn't have side effects, this is the thing to try.
Today's video is sponsored by Thrive Market. If you do want to do keto, I definitely recommend you check them out. I put a link down below. They're an online membership-based grocery store. So if you're doing keto or you're really doing any kind of dietary pattern, paleo, vegan, whatever, you can go to Thrive Market and you can do all your shopping based upon how you're eating. So if you're doing keto, you can select keto. If you're vegan, you can select vegan, and it'll collate and it will get everything organized in a way where you can shop based upon what you want and filter. It is unbelievably cool and revolutionizes how you would do your grocery shopping. Then it gets delivered to your doorstep in a couple of days, easy peasy. So there's a link down below. Because they're an awesome sponsor, that link will save you 25% off your first order. Plus, you'll get a free gift along with that, but you have to use that link down below. So big thank you to Thrive Market for the sponsorship on this channel in this video, and make sure you check them out. Let's continue.
Yeah, no, I'd be willing to try it for sure because I don't know if people fully understand like turkesterone. It sounds like it's this crazy anabolic. It's what's called an ectosteroid, which is a different classification. So it's not binding to any kind of traditional steroid receptor in the body. It's not influencing sex hormone binding globulin. It's not influencing your hypothalamic pituitary gonadal axis. It's not doing any of that. It's operating in an independent pathway, and that's where some of the people are coming in and saying, hey, we don't know if this works because there's no mechanistic data. Okay, the hard part is when mechanistic data, mechanistic studies are difficult to begin with. Okay, that's what's tough. So what you normally have to do is you have to take an observational study. Here's X group of people or X group of rodents, and here's what happened as an observation. And then you sort of overlay that with a mechanistic study and kind of determine, oh, well, here's the potential or proposed mechanism. What's lacking is there's observational studies, like we've seen some stuff in rodents, not really a whole lot of stuff. It's kind of, again, weird with the human stuff. There's some stuff where it's like inhibiting leucine, but still triggering some muscle growth, which is interesting. So the mechanism is just out there, like no one really knows what's potentially happening here. So it comes right back to like, if it's working for people, and again, could it potentially be placebo? Maybe, but I had to do a kind of a quick search. I knew we were gonna talk about this. So I looked and people recently are saying that it's working really well. So then it kind of begs the question, if it's been around for 15, 20 years, then why was it not popular then? Well, the same kind of reason that other things that were popular then are more popular now. We are in an era now of social media where things can go viral more, right? Like, so if someone was in a bodybuilding dungeon and saying, I'm taking turkesterone and it's working, and you're telling me, oh, that's coming from a freaking bug exoskeleton, or that's coming, like, screw that, I'm gonna go take this instead. That word of mouth, that's going to stop there. It might go email some friends. Now it's like, hey, I gained 4 pounds. You're talking about it on Instagram. It's going to go viral. So it's not necessarily fair. to say that it's not going to, that it doesn't work just because it didn't work 15 years ago. We don't know if it worked or not 15 years ago because maybe not enough people were talking about it, because we would have all had to kind of go through like sort of the, not going to say black market, but almost like the underground, whereas now it's just wide open. So I'm a big evidence-based guy. That doesn't mean that I won't put something in my body that I want to test out, right? I mean, I obviously look at things, what are going to be the concerns, what are things that I should look at. All I can say is like people are talking about it, people are having interesting results with it. So I'm not here to rain on it. I think that ectosteroids, basically what they do is they in a plant they can help with like the shedding. Like a plant help shed some of the skin, or in a bug they help with kind of like shedding the exoskeleton and stuff like that, which means that it's triggering some kind of an mTOR effect at some degree that's causing that to shed off and causing new growth. That doesn't mean that it's going to bind to a muscle cell the same way, but maybe it's triggering some kind of response. And I don't know, it's an interesting world. Sorry, my lights are flickering. We're having a blizzard going on. But yeah, so with this kind of ectosteroid, like basically in plants and in bugs, it's probably doing something with mTOR because it's encouraging like the molting process or like the shedding and the regrowth. Now, is that going to do something in a human cell? We don't really know. It's interesting, and I think there needs to be some more evidence on it. Like if people are going to start talking about it more and people are going to use it more, then it'd be nice to see some more research come out on it. It's just, the research is just pretty bleak, but that doesn't mean just because something has been sitting there dormant that we haven't talked about for a long time, and there's not, to a certain degree, people are going to take this out of context, but bro science and looking at this stuff has a place in some weird ways, because if we were to sit there and always wait for evidence-based stuff and always wait for a clinical to come out, then no one would ever test things. And that's actually what I do kind of appreciate about the bodybuilding community in general and stuff, is they're kind of willing to experiment a little bit, and then usually the clinicals kind of come a little bit later. So if we only root ourselves in what's been fundamentally like layered off, then we're like segmenting ourselves away from what is to be discovered.
You're actually the first person to explain was a good argument, was like, if this was around 20 years ago and it didn't take off, then it probably doesn't work. And you're basically the first person to ever explain that. It's like, well, there wasn't social media back then. It wasn't so easy to explain things. I didn't hear about it. So if I never heard about it 20 years ago, well, how did everyone? You had your little bodybuilding magazines. Not everyone got those. Nowadays, social media, everyone can kind of instantly in one day find out about something. And these studies, they don't come until people demand them. If enough people want research on turkesterone, eventually somebody's going to say it's worth researching. It took a while for probably, creatine, beta alanine. That has been around for a long time. I did not know 10 years ago that beta alanine was a thing. 5 years ago, I didn't know beta alanine was some magic supplement. Well, not that it's magic, but that it actually can work. But now I know because I've researched it now. So just because it didn't work or people didn't prove that it worked 20 years ago doesn't mean that it's not effective today.
No, so, totally. The other one that's interesting, kind of in the herbal world is that, Tongkat Ali, the long jack, which is interesting because, Dr. Andrew Huberman, who I really respect, he's a great guy, was on Joe Rogan, and he talked about it. That's how some people would come to me and be like, Thomas, can you talk about this stuff? I said, heck, I'll take it. Like, whatever, I'll take it. See what it does. I noticed pretty quick, I lost sleep. My sleep got disrupted. And this is, again, other people have said they feel great on. My sleep got disrupted, so I don't know what's going on, which I'm very precious. I'm like protective of my sleep. With my 2 small kids, I'm like, sleep is it's a gem. I need it. I can't have anything messing with it. So that was kind of a big thing for me. But you know what I noticed, which was crazy? My hair started like thinning. I started having clumps of hair coming out, which is interesting because there's not a lot of evidence surrounding long jack and like the whole dihydrotestosterone DHT conversion, but it would make sense if it's acting upon those different pathways, because I don't know, like it's definitely doing something. Like there's some evidence there with how it's affecting, sex hormone binding globulin, with how it's affecting luteinizing hormone, follicle stimulating hormone, that whole feedback. Have you experimented with it?
I've never personally taken it except for right now, which is it's part of my supplement I'm working on. It's harder than last time. Literally
cool.
To get you harder than last time in the bedroom. So I got that. So I just started like 2 days ago. But anyway, I haven't taken it a long enough time to notice. But I remember in Andrew's video, he mentioned that it could go up, increase your testosterone levels 100 to 200 points on nanograms per deciliter. If so, that that's very significant. Not like the 10 points or what Tribulus might do. These are so insignificant, probably not going to make any difference. But if we're talking about 100 to 200 points increase in nanograms per deciliter for your total test, that is a significant change. I think it looks promising.
It does. It's cool. And I don't want people to get the wrong idea just because like it messed up my sleep and I had issues with the hair. Who knows, right? Like I also had other things going on. So I'm context, right? I'm also, sit in a sauna at an exceptionally high temperature and I wasn't wearing my sauna cap that I usually wear. That could have literally been what was causing my hair to dry out and not like clumps of it falling out, but enough for me to notice like, that's weird. And then I stopped taking it. At the same time, I also went up to Tahoe away from my sauna and my hair's not doing that anymore. So it could be one, or it could be the other. I can't point fingers at it. The sleep thing, maybe it's an adjustment period. But the thing I think I like the most about the Tongkat Ali is that it has like sort of a, within itself, an anti-estrogen property. Now, I don't know how this is working, but when they look at the data with it, they're saying, okay, there's actually an anti-estrogen effect, which is like really cool. So you're having this sex hormone binding globulin pathway, you're having the LH-FSH pathway, and then you're also having an anti-aromatase effect. Like, okay, like it almost sounds too good to be true. It really does almost sound too good to be true. But
and some people can benefit from that. For me, like where my estrogen levels are actually fairly low, it wouldn't be something I'd be personally looking for.
Cardio crushes them.
But yeah, it depends on everything. Like if some people are sensitive, even with PEDs, like if I take testosterone, I could get gynecomastia, but other people could take the same dose as me and not have a problem. Yeah,
no, without a doubt. Yeah, that's definitely, it's interesting. Yeah, cardio definitely squashes the estrogen. That's what's kind of interesting. And I mean, this would be a whole separate piece of content in its own, but people think that like estrogen needs to be in the toilet. If your estrogen is super low, you're going to feel brittle and feel terrible too.
No.
Yeah, people definitely like, I mean, it's like, oh, I want my testosterone high, I want my estrogen low. No, you want them in balance because, your estrogen's actually going to do a lot of good things as far as joint protection, as far as making so. But yeah, I mean, it seems like, I don't know, and I trust Huberman. Like, I feel like he's he's got some good, he's well
he's done a lot of research. I actually asked him to be on the podcast. He said, sure. And then I keep writing him and he's not writing me back. So maybe I'll get him on. Maybe I won't.
He's probably busy. He will, man. He lives close by to me, like, because I split time between Tahoe and Carmel. And like, he's up at Stanford in Palo Alto, which is only like an hour north of me. And so I've texted with him and like, he will sometimes like, he'll be like, hey, let's do it. Let's get, because he's supposed to come on my channel too. Yeah. And then he'll like disappear for 2 weeks. Then he'll text me back and be like, hey, let's make it happen. I think he's just a busy dude.
Yeah, on top of being busy, like, I mean, I don't know how many messages you get, but like you can't read all your DMs, even emails. When I write email, like it's like it just gets missed sometimes. So I'm hoping you'll read it. Andrew, if you're watching, get in touch with me. I'm waiting for that interview.
And let's make it happen on my channel too, man.
There you go. Yeah.
Hey, Greg, we got to get rolling. I got my kids. I can hear them screaming. We got to go get some last minute shopping done. But
we got to do a bike race.
Oh, sweet.
It's going to be awesome. Love the bike races.
Nice, man.